little custom library of objects. We've got trees and cars and buildings, and so they can be drag and dropped on the fly into the model. You can rotate, scale, copy, delete these objects, and basically, if you can save these changes to the model by placing them on layers and then saving the set of objects that you've added to it. Okay, another way of modifying the model is what we're calling the vegetation importer. Well, this doesn't necessarily have to apply to vegetation, but its first application is trees. So we're calling it the vegetation importer for now. It could obviously be benches or street posts or something like that. But yeah, basically import a data file that could be, and the data can be maintained in the user's GIS. And in this case, there's a data file that specifies position, size, and species of a tree. And there's an internal library that has models of each tree corresponding to the species. And so the objects are basically copied from that and mapped into the model. It's usually a 2D representation. They only need 2 dimensions of position data. The terrain basically determines the height of the mapped tree. There's a few other features. You can save viewpoints in various locations in the model. You can animate a camera path quite simply, so you can basically fly around and choose what we call a keyframe, and then run all of those keyframes together, and we'll interpolate a little path between all of those frames. You can capture still images and videos as well. You can edit the facades on buildings, so if a building changes, you can click on the building, and the texture that's applied to that building will open up in your, say, Photoshop with imaging editing software, and you can swap the facade. And probably the most important feature is navigation, just moving around. You can view it in plan view, or kind of flying around, sort of oblique view, like a helicopter or a plane, or you can walk around. And brings us to my conclusion. The game engine technology, I think, basically, it's made it possible for us to do this, given the fairly tight R&D budgets we have. In the future, we really need to make the content maintainable and usable by the user, because in the urban environment, things change. So the users really want to be able to swap buildings and basically modify pretty much everything in the model, except the landscape. The landscape is pretty static. Also, most councils, as I said, have a GIS, so it would be really great to leverage that resource. We want to get as much information out of that GIS and represent it in the 3D model. Possibly, we could use an XML schema as an intermediate data transfer format. There's some of these schemas already exist. One's called CityGML, so we're looking at that. We've also done some work on modelling traffic well, we haven't done crowds, but we've done a lot of work on modelling traffic. So we've also built some driving simulators and traffic simulations with the real-time 3D, which I'd love to be able to show you, but I don't have time. But, so that's another thing that people have expressed a desire to be able to have in their model. And I guess we're also examining the use of other game engines. They all have their strengths and weaknesses, and this is just the first one we've used. So we should be able to supplant that particular type of technology for another technology if the particular project or application we're looking at would benefit from a different engine. That's the end of my talk. So, any questions?
Alec first.
I checked with the workflow before a couple of months ago, and we almost stopped at the discussion point where
they are not still able to import the GIS data within the virtual. And I'm really interested, how do you do that, and what are the technologies you are having, or the data formats where you transfer your GIS data to virtual? Because, yeah.
Well, at the moment it's just via a predefined kind of text file format. So you basically, they would output a data file from the GIS, and we would import that as data.
So then it's shapefile, or?
It's just for the vegetation, it's just basically a data file that has columns such as species, position, height. So we don't import shapefiles yet. There are some people who we're talking to who are working on GIS importers. So yeah, it's basically an area of future research.
So back. Yep.
A lot of people struggle to understand plans, so I'm just wondering how valuable this has been to your users and what sort of feedback you've had from them.
Well, exactly. I mean, I think this one of the primary strengths of this kind of technology is public communication. One of the slides I actually had a photo in it from a workshop we held, which it was a design charrette. So there were architects and planners basically spending a couple of days planning, working on plans and drawing up plans, and we were able to basically take their plans, put it into the existing model, and at the end of the day, various stakeholders would come in and they could see what it would look like. So yeah, I think the primary strength of this real-time 3D environments in this application is a communication tool, and just allowing people who don't have the kind of technical abilities to read plans to see that. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, very interesting to see your experience. What do you think the major limitations of virtual?
Well, I think the technology is pretty good. We're basically able to do anything that we can imagine, but I think perhaps one of the limitations is more on a kind of legal or business side of things. We have to basically get involved with, on each particular project, we have to negotiate fees with them. So in our minds, that's sort of one of the major limitations, I guess. But on the technological side, we basically haven't really come across many problems, I guess.
What sort of new game engines? Also, I think you mentioned you're considering some other game engines for the future.
Oh, what are the game engines?
Yeah.
Well, there's a game engine called Unity 3D. That's been around for quite a few years, but it was a Mac-only engine. So now, just this year, a couple of months ago, that's become available for Windows. That seems to be that's much more of seems to be good for making actual games. So whether it's going to be very useful for us, we basically have to start building some prototypes to see that. But it seems to be really good with really, shiny, flashy kind of representations where we try and make things that are really useful before they're really shiny. Quest 3D is one that is quite popular, and actually some of the larger engineering companies use Quest 3D for their real-time 3D work. And so that'll be the next engine that I think we'll be looking to.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.